Behold, the Dark Night Salami. Let's get to it. For the main ingredients in Dark Night Salami, I'm using Hardcore Carnivore Black steak and meat seasoning. This contains activated charcoal that gives the salami a pitch black aesthetic. It also has other ingredients in it like onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, and chili powder for a really well-rounded flavor. For the cure salt, I use pink salt number 2. That has nitrite and nitrate, which is typically used for projects that take over 30 days. Using a gram scale, I measure it very carefully as there is a USDA legal limit that I like to follow. I will also be using dextrose sugar to feed the bacteria culture. I have the culture blooming here in distilled water for about 30 minutes prior to mixing. The bacteria culture I used for the salami is BLC 007. It's great for fermenting at room temperatures and helps protect against listeria. Product link below. I also use a gram scale here to measure precise amounts of culture going in. This will help replicate the same tasting product in the future. For the ground pork, I used pork shoulder from a Berkshire pig raised in Pennsylvania. I used my STX TurboForce grinder and ran the meat chunks through a 1/4-inch plate. For the mixing, I used my KitchenAid with a paddle attachment. I like to use gloves or wash my hands very well for this step to be careful not to add any foreign bacterias. I'll then add the bloomed bacteria culture so it has first dibs on the surface area of the meat and also dextrose for their food source. I like to give it a good mix for a minute or two. Then I add the pink salt number 2, and then the Hardcore Carnivore seasoning, which also has salt as an ingredient, which I have calculated out to give the appropriate level of salinity for this salami. Then I'll give it a good mixing until the bind has come together and the black seasoning is well distributed. The meat should have a sticky feel and appearance like so. For stuffing, I'll be using my 5-pound lamb sausage stuffer, these cut and tied hog after ends purchased from Craft Butcher's Pantry, website link below, a nice sharp knife, a 3-pronged pricker to help eliminate air bubbles, a roll of butcher twine, and a gram scale with a plastic bag over it for easier cleanup and to help portion out the salami links. Okay, to begin stuffing, I'll simply punch down the mix to the bottom to help push out any air pockets. I try my best to fill the casing up tightly, but not too tight where it could burst while handling it through the rest of the processing. Each casing should hold about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds. I have the scale close by to help achieve 4 roughly 1-pound links. I always tie a bubble knot with the extra casing at the end of the link to hold it very tight. I will then add a small hook loop about the size of my pinky finger, in case the factory's hook loop fails. I then add a few ties around the salami to help mitigate the meat from settling towards the bottom while hanging, which would end up in an uneven drawing. After I stuff and tie the links, I will poke holes all around to help release any air bubbles and help a bit with drying. Man, these are already looking quite beautiful. Quick note about making salami and things alike. I definitely recommend checking out Good Manufacturing Practices for Fermented and Dried Meats. That explains in detail the parameters, dangers, and guidelines on how to prepare salami safely. These guidelines are what I follow and I've never had any issues. Website link below. For fermenting, I hang all the salami links together and wrap a plastic bag around them to help keep high humidity during fermentation, also to protect from any foreigners coming to invade, like bugs or dust. I always take the leftover meat from the stuffing tube and wrap it up in plastic. I will also allow this to ferment next to the salami links. It's also good to have an ambient temperature reader in the same area to help give you an idea of fluctuations or consistencies. Okay, 18 hours has passed now, and I'm going to measure the pH of the tester chub with my calibrated MW102 Milwaukee pH meter. As you can kind of see here, the pH has hit 5.18, which is well within the parameters of my degree hours formulation for fermented meats. I personally like a slight tang in my salami, but if you wish to bring it down past 5.0 pH, that will guarantee a stronger acidic flavor. For drying, I'll be hanging up the salami in a wine fridge, which is exclusively used for dry-cured meats. Also, my hook loop I showed you previously came in handy, as the factory loop started to fail during fermentation. This was definitely my fault. I soaked the casings for about 5 days, which made them a bit soft. I really only needed about 24 hours. Anyway, I used these stainless steel 1-inch S-hooks to hang and hold the salamis. The Dark Night Salami will also be joined by 2 other flavors of salami, a venison and mulberry one, and a Mediterranean style one. Those videos on how I made those will be up soon. In the weeks to follow, I kept the wine cooler at 50 degrees Fahrenheit and a slow drop of humidity from 90% to 70%, which came out to about 5% drop every 10 days with a constant but light airflow. After about 45 days, and the salami has lost about 35 to 40% weight, let's cut it open and take a look. Very beautiful. As a whole, it's nice and firm, but when sliced thin, it's very tender and really very, very flavorful. Also, a really cool characteristic to the salami is when you hold it up to the light, it looks like stained glass. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and remember, like and subscribe.